So we pay different amounts. When compared to other countries, India's internet charges are very low. When I was reading an article in a particular newspaper, what he wrote that the internet charges are very low in India when compared to other countries, which the amount is very high for internet packages in Singapore. That's why they're fast internets. Their uploading and downloading is very fast internet. We have different package structures. We have different configurations of the technology. So the different information moves all at different speeds. So I think all of you know different speeds we have to maintain. We have different information, different kinds of configuration technology we have to use. If we are working on a mobile network, that's very different from a fixed network. So we can upload a data from mobile to anything at our fixed network to another network. So it's different. We know that there are different regulatory frameworks so that as the internet turns up in different countries, it is experienced and felt differently. So the experience of as an internet user, my experience is different from your experience. Not all applications runs the same way. All applications are runs the same way. And for me to talk about the internet is already to tidy up this incredibly interesting mess. There isn't an internet. There are many internets, and they are going to feel different, experience differently, and use it differently, and imagine differently, experience it differently, use it differently, and imagine differently. I want to change gears a teeny bit to talk about 3D printing some more. So I want to talk about 3D printing some more. 3D printing means a printer that converts an image into 3 dimensions on the computer. So that is what we call it as a 3D printing. So because I am from the software generation, I came up after the computer thinkers. I am not from a period where I would have learned soldering. So when we are using this technology, somebody will have to use this technology to fake hacking the internet from accounts of the internet users, their bank accounts of the internet users, hacking and face morphing. So through internet, these type of things we have to use this technology. Technology we have to use for good things as well as some of them are using for these bad things. So I would have learned so by the time I got there, I could just get a box and I had to learn how to run the box and I had to put it in RAM now and then. But the furniture product came to me and I built things in the platform. On top of that, now there is this re-emergence of the physical cultural of the craft DIY side and 3D printing side of things that I don't understand how to use. At first, she don't know how to use this 3D printing device. There's so many things creating by the people using this technology. So who is going to adopt these physical technologies first? Who is going to adopt these physical technologies? We have been in a decade of dematerialization, all the markers of identity, and you and I, when we are younger, knew how to talk about ourselves. To ourselves and others, through physical stuff, music, the books on our shelves, photos have gone through a period where a lot of the connect is dematerialized. You have to use this computing system is differently. There are different patterns you have to use. You have a folder as a e-reader. You have to put all the information regarding e-books. We have to put in a particular folder. If you want to listen music, you have to use a particular folder. This is all what we call as dematerialization. The material is all the material not in the same folder. We have to use different folders. And it doesn't surprise me that after 10 years of early adaptive dematerialization, all the identity work and now this seduction of physical objects has come back in full force. Now it's a kind of a pendulum. We move between the virtual and the real great deal, and we have historically that's hardly a new thing. I suspect that part of what we have seen with an estimaker and that whole spectrum is a kind of a need for physical things because so much has become digital. At first, we have to use this technology only for um, gathering information, um, status of things. We have to know the information. We have to watch the information. What is going on at America? What is going on at Russia? We have to gathering information. But now we have to use internet. We have to use technology for our physical strategies also. Now we do think the early adopters are going to be. It is really going to run the gamut. There is clearly an ST world, and ST is really interesting. ST world is some of it clearly is about small scale cottage industry. At the first time, we have to use this computing, we have to use this technology only for the industries, big industries. Now, small scale industries, small cottage industries are also using this internet, this facility. I think some of it is about an art. It's a kind of language for a long time. Lovingly in Australia, we call the custom Nana art. Nana means grandmother. It's the grandmother's art. For like hitting and croquet. I have some stories of people reflecting on ways technology gave their parents voices they didn't know they had. I remember years ago, people, mostly 20 to 30 and even 40, some things reflecting on the fact that when email and text messaging came along, they suddenly heard their father in a way we had never been before. It gave a generation of tactile men a way to have effective relationships across their families. So nowadays, the children for their higher studies they are going to abroad. The parents put their children into abroad for their higher studies. So they are using this technology. They are not feeling bad. The person from the last 20 years, he always with his parents, but now in 21st year, this person who is going to the other country, but he's not feeling he's feeling well because using this technology he always feel that he always at his home because every day he wanted to talk with her parents, his father, his mother, relatives, using the so many social networking sites as well as not using Skype. It's only the things we have to, if you want to do something, so definitely he sent an email to his parents or his friends. So there is, don't bother about going abroad. There is something in that you recognize as being a kind of truth. The early ideology of the internet was about radical transparency, free information. The days are going on. The information is very free in the internet from the internet, and as well as transparency, radical, eh, experiential change. Experiential change, a radical change means everything is very transparent. On the sense that the consequence of that would be this sort of massive social upheaval. I sometimes think the more interesting things are the really mundane, banal things that internet and digital technologies are now part of. Everything from how we balance our checkbooks or how we arrange our romantic lives or how we ensure that there is still a paper that gets delivered or a houses every 2 weeks. See, there are so many information here. We have to use this technology. How using this internet, we have digital technology is a part of it. Everything from we have balance or check. If you want to balance your checkbook, how much amount is there in my bank account? So don't need to go to the bank. You have to check through this digital platform. So there are so many things which are very helpful to the people nowadays of this internet. I'm fascinated by that piece and the ways in which the internet has become not just part of romantic lives, but also our spiritual and religious ones. Not only romantic lives. If you want to talk with your lover, if you want to talk, if you want to lead a romantic life, not only the romantic lives, internet also use it for spiritual lives and religious ones also. And this is a part of our political landscape. It's interesting how different that looks in different places. It looks different in different places. I still remember my colleagues who worked in Southeast Asia talking about the early websites, and they were turning up across the part of the world. My friends from Southeast users, they are talking differently. They are using websites differently. They're talking about their websites differently. One of the very first website that operated out from Sri Lanka was for the Sri Lankan diaspora living in Europe. They are knowing about how the Sri Lankans are living their life in Sri Lanka. The people of Europeans, they know, they will watch. There was some part of the Sri Lankan population that when you made decisions considered a priest not that unusual. One of the things involved a box of goods or paper, and the priest read the piece of paper and made sense of it given situation. Classic divination activity. They're using for the internet divination activity, divine activities also, religious activities also. Well, if you are living in Sri Lanka, you didn't have access to the priest or to the parrot. So someone made a website that if you want to talk with a priest, definitely you don't go to the priest, you have to talk with the website. These type of things we have to identify in Sri Lanka.